Let's go for a flawless podcast. Round two, shall we? Let's do it. Let's do this. Hey, love, because that's who you are, because that's who your father is, and that is whose image you are created in. And this is, let's talk about it. Come on with it. Get on with it. I've been watching too much British stuff, I think, lately. London something. Get on with it. The crown of a woman. The crown of a woman. That's what I want to talk to you about today, which gives me the opportunity to share with you a couple of my crowns. Here's one. This one was from my Mogul Esther's Room group days. Here's one. Oh, I love that one. And then I'm not sure where I got this one. And my OG, my big Mavens one is somewhere else. I mean, how fun is that? I know if you're just listening, you can't see this, but I've got an array of crowns that I'm trying on. And then some are just fun little headbands that people don't know. They're from my crown box. So, next time you are just trying on headbands, find you a headband that's like, that's actually a crown. That's actually one of my crowns, and you just don't even know. This was from Tally Kogan. Oh, gosh. Did I say that name right? Sometimes you say, anyway, a designer in the Windy City. And look at that. I mean, how fun is that? I finally got to go to one of her fashion events, and I mean, that's just so fun. I might have to leave that on. Anywho, the crown of a woman. Did I try this one on? Then we have this one. Can I double like a wedding band? I feel like I should be walking down the aisle. So, perfect is boring. But also, sometimes something is so imperfect, but you just got to come back and try again. And this is a call that I did in our women's group, the Maven Esther's Collective, Modern Day Esther's Women. And normally, when I do a call from the airport, it is actually like the best call ever because there's no distractions, there's no problems. But this one we did in February of 2024. I think it was like right around the 18th or something like that. And it was horrible. I look back on it and I cringe so hard because I kid you not, I would have left the call myself. Those of you that stayed on the call, I see you. I see you. Oh my gosh. Like Carrie, Nia, Mallory. I just, like, I look back at those of you who had never been in Mavens, who endured one of our very first calls and stayed in the room for that. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. I literally changed positions, moved to a different seat. It was horrible. Anyway, and then you know what? God redeems everything, and that's something that I'm going to talk about on this call. The thing is, that call needed to be redone. Ain't no way around it. And as I was thinking about redoing that call, I thought, you know what? I think that call needs to be a podcast because it needs to be available to everyone, whether you are a maven or not. This needs to be something that we all can dwell on. We all can just sit in and talk about, because we're going to talk about your inheritance as the daughter of God and what it looks like to have a crown and what that crown, heavy is the crown, right? What does that mean? It's both responsibility and it's also inheritance. And here's the question that I posed on that call. So grab your pen and paper. I want to try as best as I can to keep this call a little bit short, this podcast, because I'm doing 30 podcasts in 30 days. And my hope is to make the next one of these walk worthy. So I can talk to you about how to walk this out. But I'm going to just get into it. Get on with it, as the Brits would say. And head right into the question that I want you to answer around the crown of a woman. Because you're a daughter of your earthly parents, and you're a daughter of a heavenly father. And that comes with two very different meanings, you guys. And what are the two different meanings around that? So think about that. What is the difference between being an earthly daughter and a heavenly daughter? Just think about that for a second. I'm going to give you some examples, but I want you to think about two lists. There's a list on one side of what it means, what is involved in your experience of being an earthly daughter, okay? And then on the other side is the list that's involved in having the experience of a heavenly daughter. There are two different experiences. What's involved in those? Will you stay? For example, on the one side, when you are an earthly daughter, and let me start by saying this. As you come up with these answers, I don't want you to get into this place in your head where you spiral, okay? We are not taking these ideas and what comes up for us, and spiraling. Take that intensity to your therapist, okay? We are gathering information for our growth, for our clarity, to improve our standard of thinking and experience in our life, okay? We are taking the experience of personal growth in our daughterhood, daughterhood. That's the crown of a woman. It's our daughterhood. We're taking our daughterhood to new heights, okay? So what that means is, as an earthly daughter, I might live feeling endured. This is my own personal work that I'm sharing with you. After years of work, I realized that as an earthly daughter, I felt mostly endured. And as a heavenly daughter, I feel mostly enjoyed. Maybe that's not something you resonate with. Maybe that's not something that was a thing for you. Maybe you felt very enjoyed as an earthly daughter. And also, maybe that involved a lot of achievement or performative ways of showing up. How did you get love and acceptance in your home as a daughter? What does the daughterhood experience look like for you when you think about what that looks like as a daughter? As an earthly daughter, you might experience that scarcity mindset. It's like the starting with no. Okay, it's like, can I? No, because fear. I want you to be safe all the time. I just really want you to be safe. And which is a fear mindset, not even a scarcity mindset, but a fear mindset. And it looks like safety, but actually it's fear, right? And from a daughterhood of experience as a heavenly daughter, there's actually this experience of feeling safe and sound, actually. It's very, very different, right? And so you keep going down the list. I want you to take some time with this. Let it be a journaling experience with you. And let me share with you some other examples that might help you and prompt you in coming up with some things. All right? As an earthly daughter, you might feel needed, a f- the excuse me, a sense of need and want. I need this, I want this. Whereas in the holy or heavenly daughter experience, you sense more um, the experience of holy provision, um, just provided for, not necessarily spoiled or desperation, just provided for, just grounded in your provision. As an earthly daughter, you might sense the experience of anxiety and overwhelm. Whereas as a heavenly daughter and in your holy daughterhood experience, you might feel peace. You might feel a sense of peace in your experience. Your earthly daughterhood experience might be one of conditional love, where if these things are present and if you do these things, or you say these things, or you act this way, or you show up in this way, then you experience feeling belonging and loved. And in your holy and heavenly daughterhood experience, um, it's unconditional. There's no performing. There's nothing, you feel the sense of, there's nothing I can do to feel more loved. There's nothing that I can do to feel more wanted than I already do. You might feel a sense of unforgiveness, resentment, a spirit of rejection or bitterness or complaining or comparison in your home as in the daughterhood experience on earth. That's a part of that human experience. And in your daughterhood experience in the heavenly realm as a holy daughter, you might feel acceptance, just genuine acceptance, not just of yourself, but a genuine acceptance of others as they are. Their hair color, their skin color, the what they wear, what they do, how much money they make, where they go in life does not affect you whatsoever. What they, you just do your thing, and what they do with theirs, whether that it has an impact on you or not, does not change the way that you feel about them. It's just this spirit of acceptance that comes with um, that the fatherhood and the way that he loves you, and that is the recreated experience instead of the recreated trauma, which comes down and also comes sideways through siblings as well. In your earthly daughterhood experience, you might experience a spirit of offense. You might experience manipulating, taking on personas, taking on ways of showing up in character, um, that like maybe you're generous, but it's, or maybe you're a servant, or maybe you are a people pleaser, or maybe, and they look like really good things, but in all actuality, they are not, you're not allowed to be anything different, right? And it would be really nice if it was just that that's who you were. And also, it is, it might also be true that it is not a, it's, there's not another way that's allowed, if that makes sense. And maybe there are values in your earthly daughterhood experience that are different or conflicting with your heavenly daughterhood experience. So I'll let you sit with that and just continue to process. There's a difference there. There is a difference there, but I assure you, you have a bloodline and a way that you were created that is directly connected to your heavenly Father. That is nothing to do with your earthly experience, that your identity has nothing to do with your last name, that the identity that no one can take from you is a character that is truer than even your ancestry, that can be that can be directed through all of the websites and the bloodlines that are here on earth, that it is something that is actually very holy, and that it is something that is beyond, above and beyond anything that you even have control over. And that is your crown. And because of that crown, you have five things. You have an inheritance. And within that inheritance, that's your thumbs up, right? The inheritance gives you authority, gives you access. Authority, that is tied to your words, that is tied to it's above and beyond. It, it's in your prayers, it's in what you can see, it's in what you can hear. It's so much more than what you realize. It's in the spiritual realm as well, it's in the healing realm as well. So you've got inheritance that brings about authority, access, acceptance, and allowance. Just like you have an allowance as a kid in your earthly realm, you have an allowance in your heavenly realm. You've got provision that gives you access to places and resources that are beyond what you can see. That is tremendously great news for you. You've just got to tap into that. The thing is, tapping into the inheritance of the crown of a woman is healing from the ways that you show up as an earthly daughter, as the wounded woman, and showing up more and more and more as the royal warrior. And that is that go get her mantra that you hear me talking about all the time. The go get her is that sense that I am both a wounded woman and I am a royal warrior. And when I show up in situations as the wounded woman, when I respond from that place in me, then I am missing out on the ways that God has for me to serve, to minister, and to discern what He has for me and for others through. Hey, I am totally human, but also just like that little girl that in the earthly daughterhood, I wasn't supposed to be responsible for the emotions and the health of others in my home as a little girl. That's not that's not the way I'm supposed to show up as an adult. They're his kids, and he may choose me, but that is the biggest, greatest blessing and revelation of all, because he doesn't need you and me. What an incredible revelation that is to know, because then we can freely flow in our giftings in a way that honors God and blesses Him and is our gift to Him, instead of feels like a rescue, right? Some kind of a rescue mission. And that when we are trying to step into our healing, one of the things that we really have to um, encounter is, why do we often get stuck in our healing, blaming others um, from those childhood experiences. And and here's what I want to ask of you to consider, is to stop blaming, is to just remove the blame for the time being while you're healing. Just set it aside, because I think the enemy loves to use blame and unforgiveness to keep us from healing, and that we think we need to work through forgiveness pieces before we can get to healing. But I don't think that's true. I think a lot of times we think we withhold forgiveness like it's our gift to give somebody. It's sin. It is actually straight up sin. Let me just newsflash. Your forgiveness is not your gift on a platter to give to someone. It's sin when you withhold forgiveness. Your sin is not smaller than the person that you are not forgiving. Your sin is not smaller. And the sin of unforgiveness is the greatest sin. That is the thing, the very thing that calls us to be like Christ is forgiveness. And so the enemy loves for us to pick apart something that someone else does, call it huge, call it the greatest offense of all, then withhold our forgiveness and call our forgiveness like some great glorious gift on a platter that we give to them. No. Resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness in our heart is dirty, disgusting, ratchet, and wretched. It is sin itself, and it is the worst. It is just as bad as the sin that we're forgiving. It is not a gift. Our forgiveness is not some sweet, precious, beautiful, you know, look how beautiful and wonderful. It's not a flex to forgive someone. It's resolving the sin in our own lives to forgive, because our unforgiveness is actually the sin within us. And a lot of times we are wanting healing, but we're waiting for closure, waiting on something or someone else, something that someone else thinking it's their responsibility to step in and bring some closure so that we can start healing. Just remove the blame, set it aside for a little bit, and step into responsibility for your own healing. Quit worrying about what somebody else did to hurt you, because the enemy is just using that to keep you from going to therapy, from stepping into um, journaling, praying, getting on your knees, humbling yourself, stepping into your own the unforgiveness, that sin that you're carrying, and making big what someone else did, so that you can be blindsided by what it is that you've done that's actually keeping you separated from him, separated from your growth, separated from your blessings, and separated from the things, the very things that you're asking him for. So set aside the blame, and here is the just radical statement of personal responsibility that I want to encourage you to write down and consider. If it affects me, this is something that I have taught my kids for years. It's really hard, and you cannot be emotional. You have to be emotionally mature to take this on. You cannot be worried about what other people are doing. If it affects me, I take full responsibility. Period. You have to be able to look at everything and go, people are going to disappoint me. If I do a group project, here's the reality of the human experience. People aren't going to show up. What am I going to do? What am I going to do about it? Am I going to accept that and move on and do my best and get this A because I want an A? Or am I going to get a C or a B and go around blaming other people for the work that they did? Or am I just going to get the A because I want the A? What am I going to do? And I think that answer says a lot about you and where you're going to go in life, and what is going to come of your decisions, what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to take responsibility for. And in that, your healing is your responsibility. And as you get older, all parts of you are welcome. If you can accept your anger, if you can accept your unforgiveness, if you can accept your fears, if you can accept your grief, you can accept all of those parts of you, then you can begin to work through all of those parts and step into the healing so that you can experience the inheritance, the full inheritance of your true daughterhood. And that's my desire for you, that later you can revisit the source of your hurt. And at that time, I promise you, you will be so much less hurt. You will feel so much less needy about blaming anybody, because it just won't matter so much anymore, because you will be so much more healed because you went after your healing and what you needed. And while you might need space from people, or you might not want to stay in relationship with people, that's fine, but you won't be holding grudges. You won't be holding unforgiveness. You will just be moving forward with freedom. It's amazing. It is genuinely amazing. That inheritance that comes with authority, access, acceptance, and allowance, all of that, when you walk in that, you literally have no need to be angry. You can be unoffendable. You can stop complaining and being just miserable, gossiping. All of those things are indicative of a life that is dependent upon me and dependent upon others to show up for me. It is conniving and trying to cheat and get me or other people to work it out for me, and get the plan is for you to walk in your daughterhood. The systems are kings. Systems are the pillar that bring the power, okay? And here's the system that God brought us. He said, tithe. He said, you have the mind of Christ. He said, your inheritance comes with authority to use your mouth. He said, your inheritance comes with the authority to bring healing through your prayers, to bring breakthrough and overcoming, and to slay dragons through your prayers. Like the system is this. I've given you all of this. Just start searching and keeping your eyes open and paying attention in your quiet time and in your Bible reading. How does this inheritance affect me? What responsibility do I have, and what power do I have? What is the power in my daughterhood? Papa, let me know. And he will start to show you this inheritance that allows you to go, I don't want to miss out on that. But when you start messing with the plan, that's when you start to get miserable. When you start going your own way, when you start cheating the system, when you start lying and trying to make it work for yourself, and trying to hide, trying to manipulate, trying to create ways to do it your own way. It never works. It always comes out. It always ends up biting you in the rear in the long run. And in the end, it doesn't feel good. It feels ick. And it also makes you miserable, and it leaves you wanting, longing for peace, longing for prosperity, longing for, and then you wonder, why am I not going anywhere? Why am I not being prosperous in these areas? Why am I not sensing your peace? Why is my body hurting? Because the body keeps the score, because that's the temple, and you can't be out of alignment with God and the temple be in alignment. Why is my money not right? Because if you're not going into church and you're not tithing and you're not aligning with the community, then he says, test me in this and see that I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven so wide that you will not have room enough for it. I mean, you can make all the money that you want, but if you're not connected to a community where you can tithe and do the one thing that he says, test me in this in, then you can't cheat the system. why is this not why is my marriage not, like, why is it such a pain in my rear? Well, because marriage is just it's so hard. It's the one thing. It is the one way in which we identify to the world as Jesus and the church. And if we want to invest hours upon hours of our lives in social media or the gym, or I don't know, wasted time, and none of it in growing our relationship with one another, whether it be in marriage therapy or um, date nights or praying together or whatever, then it makes sense that the things that we deplete energy and power from are not going to grow and become powerful. Um, this is the truth about your daughterhood. This is the truth about the crown that you've been given. It is both incredibly um, powerful to just see that you have an earthly daughterhood and a heavenly daughterhood, and you choose which one you walk in as a wounded woman or as a royal warrior. And I beseech you, sister, walk holy, walk loved, walk accepted, walk chosen, walk enjoyed, walk worthy. Walk it out. And in a way that pursues healing so that you can say, I'm unoffendable. I don't complain. I'm in prayer constantly. I use my words to speak life. I'm not a gossiper. I'm not a liar. I'm not a cheater. I'm not, I Sabbath. I take care of my temple. And it can take time to turn that diesel around. I know. There's no shame in this game because it's not a game, it's a life transformation, but it's worth it. So worth it. All right. So, the crown of a woman. What have we learned? You have a daughterhood experience. You do. And you have access, you have authority, you have an inheritance, you have acceptance, you have allowance, you have provision, you have so much right now. What are you tapping into? And never, never, never give up because your daddy owns your divine daddy owns the cattle on 1,000,000,000 bazillion trillion hills, and he wants you to walk in the way of the daughterhood that he has prepared for you. So yeah, there you go. All right, ladies, thank you for listening. Please share this and let me know what you loved about it. And this is the beginning, actually, call of our Maven Esther's Collective, which is about to reopen in December for enrollment. So if you're interested in more um, content like this, I'd love for you to join our community. Our new cohort begins in January. And what a way to start 2025 with a bunch of other modern day Esthers walking through how and um, really like practical ways to live in daughterhood with other daughters of the King, with other sisters of in Christ. It's really, really powerful. But go get her. Do it today. Do it now and every day. Never stop. Never give up. All right. Thanks for listening.